there. You're welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Empowered Choices podcast. I am Idris Naimatu and I'm joined in the studio here by two beautiful and intelligent ladies, and I'll be giving them the opportunity to introduce themselves and we'll dive deep into our conversation for today. So please.
Hi viewers, my name is Habiba Abdullah, the Media and Influencing Officer for PEAG as Period Equity Advocates Ghana.
And hello to our cherished viewers, my name is Gloria Zuma and I'm the team lead for Period Equity Advocates Ghana, PEAG. PEAG is a social change campaign by Masters in Development Communication students at the University of Media Arts and Communication. You know, UNIMAC is the only and the best university in Ghana. So there's no need to talk much about it. But yeah, our mission is simple: to address period equity.
Right. So for today's topic, we are diving deeper into breaking the stigma, tackling period poverty. I know a lot of you might have heard of period poverty, but you don't know what it is. So today we're breaking it down into bits for you to probably understand and assimilate it. So my first question is, what is period poverty and why should everybody be concerned about it?
Yes, period poverty, as we call it every time or talk about it, is when girls and women who menstruate do not have reliable access to the things that they need to manage their menstruation safely and with dignity. And hold it there. I'm saying things because it's not just about money. It's about four core things, which is the product. We're looking at the product. We're looking at the financial bits that tackles the facilities that they need. We're also looking at stigma to break down the silence, and also we're looking at how supportive the kind of support they would get that would not allow them or push them into menstrual health issues.
Okay, great.
Just to add to what Abiba was saying, oftentimes when we talk about period poverty, our minds are only set to the fact that people like menstrual products, but it goes far beyond that. Even the access to information on menstruation is something that hinders the growth of girls when they are menstruating. And so when we talk about period poverty, our minds is usually set on, oh, these girls don't have sanitary pad, and so let's go and share the sanitary pad to them. But aside the product, do they have the information? Who do they reach out to when they are menstruating? So all those things encompass what we call period poverty.
Right, thank you for breaking that into bits. And I love the fact that you made mention of the other factors as compared to most often we usually just associate it to the product. Well, before we talk or go into the other bits, I would want us to delve or talk a little bit about the menstrual products. I mean, how does the lack of access to menstrual products affect their physical and mental well-being? I mean, of girls, because obviously.
Yeah, girls, when they do not have access to these products, tend to have low self-esteem. Some do miss school, and some get traumatized. Some get traumatized in those ways because they may be affected by infections, which they may keep it to themselves, may not have somebody to discuss it with, which also tend to, affect their mental health. Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that?
In addition to that, imagine a girl having to go to school with the view that she doesn't have sanitary products. She'll be afraid to swallow herself, and so she'll not be able to go to school. And so these are some of the challenges when it comes to women not having access or girls not having access to menstrual products. It affects even they going to school, because I know that when I go to school, I'll soil myself and I'll get laughed at. And so let me just stay at my one corner and I won't go to school.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that totally. So yes, growing up, in the school, by basic school, there was an instance where a senior used something, I think it was toilet roll for her period because she couldn't afford pad and all that. How does somebody using these kind of unsafe materials cause or pose any kind of threat or health risks to the individual?
Yeah. using these kind of product, like unsafe products, we say, because we have the safe ones and unsafe ones.
Yeah.
So just as you mentioned, that tea roll can cause, different infections. We have the UTI, urinary tract infection.
Yeah, I get
yes,
that.
and then we also have the reproductive organ infection as well. That is more of like the pelvic inflammation, because if it goes untreated, then it means that person is going to go through it. The girl or woman can also go through skin diseases, maybe rashes, may experience rashes and all that around the skin, which may also affect them and affect their psychological being as well.
Yes. So when I asked the question, I think Laura made mention of the fact that some girls tend not to go to school when they are menstruating. Some even drop out from school and all that. So now, in the long run, how does period poverty affect a girl's education and her future?
So, assuming, for we all know sometimes our menstrual cycle could last for like 7 or 8 days, sometimes 3 to 5 days. So imagine every month a girl has to miss school within this period. You can calculate this number of days to 12 months. That will tell you how far she's going to be behind. In terms of her male counterpart, mind you, she's attending the school. She has dropped out because she's menstruating. So which means a particular period of time she's not in school. And her male colleagues are in school, which means they are studying. And it's gradually going to affect her for the entire year. And so she's lacking behind as compared to the guys that will still be in school. So even in terms, the fact that she's being absent from school means that she's losing something from school. Aside that, too, sometimes their self-esteem is something that we usually do not look at, because there are so many myths around menstruation. And so sometimes we hear that when you are menstruating, you are unholy, menstruation is not a good thing, and so they tend to call themselves. We in Accra, we don't see much of this, but when you go to the rural areas, that's when you see that when some ladies are menstruating, they decide to just isolate themselves, and then which will have a long-term impact on their well-being.
Yeah, and we're also looking at girls' participation in class. You tend to see that they're mostly isolated, quiet, do not want to mingle with others. And then you see, as a result, we lose engineers, we lose nurses, we lose doctors. And that affects the community and the whole.
And even in addition to that, sometimes maybe a girl has a contribution to give in the class. What if I get up and then my dress is soiled? Won't the boys laugh at me? Won't the girls laugh at me? Then the girl just calms herself in class, and so she will not speak. And so if the girl is menstruating for 1 week, which means that whole week she's not speaking in class, because she is afraid that what if I get up and I see a stain on my dress? Won't they laugh at me?
So then that brings me to my next question, actually, on myths and misconceptions. For decades, for years past now, NGOs like PPH has been trying to advocate and then debunk some of these myths and misconceptions, but then they're still out there. So like, what are some of the still persistent ones in our communities, the myths and misconceptions?
The persistent ones still, even with the old ones that we've heard, are still being held so dearly. Because some people are in this 21st century, we still have communities that believe that if you are menstruating, you are unclean. Menstruation is unclean, so you can't cook. You can't. I would use myself as like a typical experience where, in my house, my father tells me, if you are menstruating, don't cook for me to eat.
Wow.
Yeah, I experienced that for some time until when I started this development work. I had to bring him on board in some of the discussions, and then we were able to break that stigma. So the first time, I've been
hearing of that.
Yeah,
but then I think it was far-fetched. I felt like maybe it wasn't so true until you saying this, because we are all in the same space.
Exactly.
So,
It's true. So these myths, they still persist. One of the common ones I've heard, just like Abiba said, is the fact that menstruation is something that is not clean. You are unholy. But mind you, menstruation is part of nature. It's part of the woman's biology. But then these are some of the myths that still
and then you see we have this especially in our schools. I mean, tell me why we are still struggling to have this maiden girl. What's the club for the girls in Ghana? Black maidens, right? Or black maidens or something. We are still struggling to have more girls participate in sports because we don't have these facilities that facilitate what they have to get to be comfortable in order to play sports, participate in extracurricular activities. We're still struggling with all these. So we go like, okay, girls can't play sports when they are menstruating. Meanwhile, it's a myth. When they have all these supports, they can do it.
Right. So I actually like how the conversation is going because it's like just progressively leading us on to the next questions and all that. So my next question now will be, how do we as individuals, communities, parents, how are we helping to break the stigma around menstruation?
Parents play a significant role in our lives, especially girls, because we are more inclined to them than any other person, as we grow up. But then they are also the same people that we are at a point when we are in our puberty stage, we are scared to even go to them. We have to break that stigma. Like, parents need to bring us closer to them each and every time, talk to us like they're friends. We need that support. That is how we're going to feel okay and be able to discuss menstruation or whatever is happening to us within our bodies. So parents really have that role to play to make us draw us closer to them, draw girls closer to you, make them feel comfortable, talk about menstruation, take it as a norm. Like, it's a norm. It's not even take it as a norm. It's a norm. It's a normal thing. It's a biological thing that happens to us. It's not like we went to the market and bought it and we are running with it.
And so I think the conversation on menstruation itself has not been normalized. It's something that is seen as abnormal. We cannot speak to our parents, our teachers cannot speak to us about it. And so until we normalize conversation on menstruation, this misconception, this myth, this stereotype will continue to strive. Because if you are confused as a young lady, who do you go to? Are you able to go to your parents to speak to them? Are your teachers able to speak to you about it? We only get to hear about menstruation in schools when we are learning about reproductive health. And which is even quite an interesting topic that we tend to even ask questions outside menstruation. And so we don't really get the deeper understanding of what it is or what it entails. And so until we normalize conversations on menstruation, we will not be able to break those stigmas. So it could be either in schools, even in churches, and mosques. So I know religions sometimes are the hindrances to conversations on menstruation because we still believe that it is something that is not clean or unholy. And so until these conversations in this key institution, that is the family, the religion, the school, is being normalized, then we will not be able to break away from this stigma we are facing.
And then with even what Gloria just mentioned, just a quick one, I also had a first-hand experience on that, where the school I attended, JHS, had to separate us, put the boys in a different room. I mean, it's a mission school.
Wow.
Put the girls in a different class, and then teach separately. When it got to that specific reproductive system, that is exactly what we did.
That's
in my school. When I was in JHS, and it's even not so different from even the other schools, the government schools, because when it gets there, the subject is narrowed in a way that the boys don't really even get to understand what we girls are going through. What we should be very explicit about it.
Right. Wow. Okay, so that would take me to my next question, actually. Engaging men and boys in these kind of conversations, like what role do boys and men play in this kind of thing? I mean that we tend to exclude them from such conversations, but like, how can we bring them on board? How can we give them, like, this is your role, this is what you're supposed to be doing, to make it kind of like a normal thing? Don't make it, or don't shy away from these kind of conversations, because eventually you are going to grow and then have kids that you it's actually nice that when you go, you have your kids, and then you are the one getting your sanitary products and stuff for your daughter, helping her to change. I mean, not helping her to change, but like showing her like this is how it's done.
That's supporting.
Yeah, that kind of because you don't leave such roles for just the parents. So how do we engage the boys? How do we engage the men? And then show them this is your role. This is how you're supposed to do it. Let's normalize this kind of conversations.
Yeah, I feel we have to bring them on board in these discussions. For example, as part of our activities that we're running, we did a school outreach, and I happened to be like the one who facilitated the menstrual hygiene, menstrual management session. And we got there, and the boys were just few, and you'd be surprised the questions that were coming. Yes, the boys were rather asking. Even some of the girls were a bit shy, but the boys were asking. Can you believe one person asked me, where does the blood come from? I mean, he wants to know where the blood and where do babies come from. Because he wants to know the two different aspects. Yes. So imagine leaving them behind. You may not know. They may be causing harm to these girls that they meet out there. So we really have to bring them on board, engage them in all discussions that we do around menstruation. There is nothing like, I mean, they have to be supportive, and they must be included in all our conversations.
So just as Abiba indicated, during our outreach, when we got to the school, we only had the girls in the class. Then we asked where are the guys, and so the teachers had to now go and call some few boys to come and join because
so the school authorities intentionally segregated.
Yes, it was only the girls that were there. So we got there and there was no single guy in the class, and so we had to speak to them that we need the boys on board, because when we are talking about breaking the stigma, oftentimes it is from these guys that stigmatize this lady because they do not really understand what menstruation is about. And so we asked that they bring the boys on board. So we had some few boys joining us, and then they were even those asking the questions. And they were even those that were so interested in the conversation. So as I said earlier, because we haven't normalized the conversations on menstruation, that is why we tend to have the guys out of it. So we are going for an outreach. We want everybody on board, but even in the outreach, we have segregated only the girls. How then do we break the stigma? Even in this even in the family, it's the same thing. So oftentimes when you want information on menstruation, you go to your mom, you don't go to your dad. And so we have to be intentional about this generation of men we are raising. So we don't have a situation where a daughter will come and tell you, oh, daddy, what is menstruation? And be like, oh, go and ask your mom, I don't have any idea. We don't want that. And so we have to be intentional and bring the guys on board. So when we go on outreach, let us ensure that at least we have some few men on board.
So now we've spoken about men and boys. So then what are some of the roles of parents in supporting menstruating girls?
I feel, I think I touched on this earlier, but aside the support that they give us, or they should listen to us, because during menstruation a lot happens to the girls, and a lot happens to us, and it is the listening ear that would make us feel comfortable. They also have to support us in getting our products. I mean, all the products we need, either menstrual cup. If we feel comfortable using menstrual cup, they should allow us and guide us through that. And that is how we also get to feel comfortable that, okay, this works best for me, and I'm going to use that. So they should be very supportive and play their roles in our lives.
Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I will just say that parents need to be deliberate about having conversations on menstruation with their children, whether they are males or females. They should be deliberate about having conversations on menstruations with them. They should help them understand their body, especially those that are menstruating for the first time. Oftentimes, there are those that get confused. They don't really understand what is happening to their body. What is this changes? What is this blood? Where is it coming? They don't really understand. And so it's important for the parents take these girls through what menstruation is, and then even help them calculate their periods and all those kind of things.
So that takes me to my final question. How can schools create a more supportive and conducive environment for girls during their period? I mean, like you're menstruating during school hours, and how can the school environments be made conducive for them?
Yeah, so it's about all of us getting this thing right, that it's a normal phenomenon, right? So let's make it more inclusive so that everybody gets that support. So if the school gets or facilitates for the school to get a changing room for girls, or maybe a sick bay. I mean, I think some of them do,
Yeah,
but the basic schools, I'm not really sure. Yeah, they don't. So those facilities we are talking about should be something that, I mean, would really help in making this a normal thing for everyone to understand that it's just a normal phenomenon that happens to girls and women, and that we need to facilitate and make them feel comfortable. Yeah.
Right. So I want you guys to give your final words. I mean, like, if there's one thing you wished everybody understood about menstruation, what would that be? There's one thing that you want everybody out there, or even our listeners, what's that one thing you would want them to understand about menstruation?
I mean, one thing I would want everybody to know is that it's a human issue. Like, I mean, let's understand that it is not just for women. If it affects everybody, because if one girl menstruates and does not get the support that they need, then it means they are dropping out of school, it means the community is losing, it means the country is even losing, because it means that person is not going to be very productive as the person should be to benefit all of us. So we need that support. Yeah.
And I would say that menstruation is something normal that we have to pay attention to. So it is not something that is unclean or unholy. And my last comment would be that it is important that we normalize conversation on menstruations. It is until we normalize these conversations that we are able to break free from these misconceptions we have about menstruation.
Right. Thank you so much. It's been lovely having you on here. So that brings us to the end of a very exciting session on Empowered Choices podcast. We are coming to you live from the PPAG's Yenkasa podcast studio here in Latabi Okoshi. If you want any information about us, or if there's any information on your menstrual health or anything at all that you'd need help with, you can always contact the Yenkasa contact on 0800 20 20 10. Taking it again, 0800 20 20 10, or you can WhatsApp us on 024 511 8228, 024 511 8228. Thank you all so much for watching, and hope to see you in our next episode. Bye.